Good morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to an annual tradition on this channel to hand out 32 Hart Trophies for the 32 NHL teams. Yeah, you know, the Hart Trophy is awarded each year to the MVP of the league. This year's candidates will all be on the board, I'm pretty sure, but I made it my tradition to hand out a Hart Trophy for each team, for the MVP on each team. I will write all the names on the board. So without further ado, let's get it on. 32 teams, 32 Hearts, 2024 edition. Okay, here we are with the board, and I will not be wearing one jersey during the whole video, but I will wear the jersey of the MVP of each division, as far as I'm concerned, for each division in this video. And I'm wearing Tampa. Let's start on with the Atlantic Division, standing as of they are today, April 7th, 2024. Let's start off with the Atlantic, as mentioned, Boston Bruins. Who is the MVP of the Boston Bruins? Yeah, there are not many argues, I'm pretty sure, with David Pastrnak, their best scorer, their best player. Charlie McAvoy had a good season, Jeremy Swayman as well. Brett Marchand is always there, but Pastrnak is the MVP of the Bruins. I will not have any argument with that. Florida, yeah, there could be arguments meant for Alexander Barkov, for Matthew Tkachuk, but I think their best goal scorer this year is their MVP, and that's Sam Reinhart. Over 50 goals this year, and we have not reached the end yet. He could get 55, maybe outside chance of 60. Let's see how the Panthers do in the next games. But Sam Reinhart, who is a UFA this summer, he will cash in big with a 50-plus goal season. Toronto, the next guy with a 50-plus goal season, and yeah, there is no argument with Toronto. Auston Matthews is the MVP, of course. Over 60 goals so far this year, and we're not through yet. He could hit more, maybe outside chance of 70. Auston Matthews, yeah, all clear. Tampa Bay, yeah, as well. Victor Hedman had a good season. Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, yeah, all right. But the guy with the MVP caliber season is Nikita Kucherov. Who else could it be? The best player in the Atlantic Division, as far as I'm concerned. That's the Tampa Bay jersey for Nikita Kucherov, my Hart Trophy winner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Detroit, pretty balanced team, a lot of good players. I think it's still Dylan Larkin, their captain, and when he was out, you could see right away a drop by the performance of the whole team. Larkin is their leader, is their MVP. Moritz Seider could become their MVP. Let's see about that next year. He had anyway a better 23-24 season than he had in 22-23. Next team, Buffalo, and yeah, here their player that should be the MVP is Tage Thompson. But his season was not that good. You could make an argument for Jeff Skinner. You could make an argument for JJ Peterka, who really had a breakout year this year. I think UPL, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who became their starting goalie in the midst of the season. And when he took over, the team elevated its play. Yeah, he had some bad games, but I think Luukkonen, their best goalie, their MVP this year for the Sabres. Ottawa, hardcore, balanced, a relatively balanced team where all players didn't have their best season. I still think that the guy from Mannheim, Tim Stützle, was their MVP this year. You could make an argument for Brady Tkachuk, maybe even for Claude Giroux. I think it's Tim Stützle. And finally, Montreal, a team with a very bright future. This year still, the MVP is Nick Suzuki, their first-line center. In an ideal world, when the rebuild for Montreal is over, he will be their second-line center, and they will have an even higher profile player at first-line center. Nick Suzuki had a great year. His points total is closing to a point a game, which was not expected. That's the Atlantic. So let me change the jersey and then let's go to the Metro. Okay, next up, Metropolitan Division. Leading right now are the New York Rangers. I'm pretty sure they will win this division. They had great seasons by Adam Fox. Mika Zibanejad, no slouch either, but their MVP. Artemi Panarin, their best scorer this year. I think by far their best player this year. He had a great season and he really deserved the MVP honor, not only of the Rangers, but I think of the whole Metropolitan Division. That's why the Rangers jersey. Next one, Carolina, very balanced team. One player sticking out for me. Sebastian Aho didn't have his best season last year. This year, back to over a point a game. Great support by Marty Natchez, for example, and a lot of other guys. As mentioned, very deep roster, dangerous in the playoffs. Sebastian Aho is their MVP. Next up, New York Islanders, who I think the first time this year are in the top 3 of the division, standing today, April 7th. There are some guys on my list. There could be arguments made for Noah Dobson for his great play in the first half of the season. There could be arguments made for Bo Horvat. I think Matt Barzal is their MVP. He is doing really good under new coach Patrick Roy. I think next year when Roy has really implemented the system, the Islanders could be a dark horse to win the division. This year, right now, they're third. Let's see if they stay there with their MVP, Matthew Barzal. Let's get it on with the next team, which is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Right now, for the first time since a long time, back in the standings in a playoff spot. The MVP, yeah, no discussion about that. Sidney Crosby, any questions? Thank you, let's go on. Philadelphia could be a short as well. It's clearly Travis Konechny, who, when he was out with injury, you really noticed the game of the Flyers falls off. You could also write John Tortorella. Why not? He's the coach, but who cares? Washington. This always was Alex Ovechkin. I think not this year. He had this very, very long goal-scoring drought at the beginning of the season, and one guy who took over the starting job in the net. Charlie Lindgren, the goalie. When the games are close and he's playing good, the Capitals most likely win. When he is an off night and it's an open scoring, high scoring game, the Capitals lose. It's Charlie Lindgren. Yeah. New Jersey. Absolute nightmare of a season. So many injuries to key players. Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes, who could anyway be in the conversation for the team's MVP, but I decided for Nico Hischier, their captain, the most consistent player in the whole season. He was always there. He scored pretty good. With some more help, the Devils could still be in the playoff conversation. And finally, Columbus. Another nightmarish season. Another rebuild coming in, or is already going. They signed so many D-men in the offseason to stabilize, but it didn't work. Because one guy... Zach Werenski wasn't supported good enough. With a healthy Werenski all year and with the right moves and the young guys like Adam Fantilli coming up, the Blue Jackets might not be a playoff team, but they might at least be better next year. And key, Werenski being healthy. Okay, let's clean up the board and then let's go to the West. Okay, next division is the Pacific. I'm wearing the Oilers. Yeah, I think the Oilers MVP is the division's MVP, maybe even the league's MVP. Let me see about that. Leader right now in the Pacific are the Vancouver Canucks. You could make arguments for their leading scorer JT Miller, for their goalie Thatcher Demko, of course for Elias Pettersson, but I think the captain, Quinn Hughes, best scorer, best scoring defenseman in Oilers history. He will be that soon. For a season, he already is. His play picking up helped the Canucks so much. They still lead the division. Let's see if they stay there. Because team number 2, the Oilers, is coming up. Right now they are 3 points back of Vancouver. Still a chance of winning the division with a play of Connor McDavid, who is about to reach 100 assists for the season. That's incredible. These are Gretzky-like numbers. Yeah, almost Gretzky-like numbers. In 2024, it's fantastic. The game of Connor McDavid pushes the Edmonton Oilers. He is their MVP. No argument about that. Next up, LA. There could be arguments made for a lot of players. I think, where is it? Anze Kopitar had a very good season. Quinton Byfield really came into his own this year. But I think Drew Doughty is this year the MVP of the LA Kings. His play on the defensive side is very strong still. Next up, Vegas, the reigning Stanley Cup champion. They had a lot of injuries as usual. They always have. But I think their most consistent player, the best player, Jonathan Marchessault, who is also a UFA this summer. He will cash in big with almost 40 goals now and more than a point a game. Very good play by Marchessault. Seattle is a little hard as always because they are a very balanced team. I could make an argument for Joey Daccord, who took over the starting job in net. You could make an argument for Vince Dunn, but I think it's still Jared McCann, their leading scorer, their best player. Next year, Matty Beniers should be in this conversation. Maybe even Shane Wright could be in this conversation. His call-up recently worked pretty good. This year, it's still McCann. Calgary, disappointing season. They traded away all of their upcoming UFAs. Who is still there to be the MVP? Jacob Markstrom. He was almost traded to the Devils during the season. Something didn't work out. I think with Markstrom in net, the Devils could be in the playoff conversation. Still, maybe even a short third in the Metro. They are not because they don't have him. In Calgary, he has, I think, one more year left on the contract, so he should be traded in the offseason. Let's see how this works out. Anaheim, very disappointing. Another lost season for the Ducks. I think they could be so much better with more consistent play. The guys will be 1 year older next year. I think this should work out better. And they need someone else to be the MVP than Frankie Vatrano. Leading goal scorer on the Ducks. There should be other guys like McTavish, like Terry, Trevor Zegras, Linus Carlson. These guys should be the MVPs, not Vatrano. He should be a depth scorer, maybe a second line winger who scores 25 goals a year, and the others should be the guys shining. It's still the other way around. Let's see how long it stays like that. Oops. And finally, the San Jose Sharks. I picked Fabian Zetterlund. All their high-profile players are out of the picture, are traded away. Logan Couture is still there, but he is hurt all the time. He is injured all the time. I think he played how many? 2-3 games? No factor. It was either Zetterlund or Granlund. I picked Zetterlund because why not? The Sharks have their future ahead of them. Will Smith coming in next year. He should be then on the board. Hope so. Okay, let's change over to the final division. To the Central. Okay, the final division, the Central Division, of course. Let's start off from the top, Dallas Stars. They are a pretty balanced team with good additions. Matt Duchene really helped them a lot. Tyler Seguin, not back to his normal, but I think to his 30-plus year normal, having a very good season. Joe Pavelski is still there and doing fantastic, but I think their MVP Jason Robertson, who is having a down year for his standards, for his new standards. He will be much better next year, but he still is their best player. Colorado, yeah, I'm wearing what I think is the MVP of the Central Division. Nathan MacKinnon. Any arguments with Nathan MacKinnon being the Avalanche MVP? Thank you. The same goes for the Winnipeg Jets. Good players on the roster. They found them really in the first half of the season. They were very good. Recently, not so much. Still a playoff team. Josh Morrissey had a very good season. Mark Scheifele is very good. But I think this all wouldn't mean anything without Connor Hellebuck, one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the NHL this year. He will be, spoiler alert, in the conversation for the Vezina. He is the Jets MVP. Fourth right now is Nashville. And there I do have a problem because I have three guys that are all MVPs. Now, make it four. We have Ryan O'Reilly, we have Jussi Saros, we have Roman Josi, and Philip Forsberg. I should have all four on the board. I am picking only one, so I'm picking Philip Forsberg this year. Fantastic season, closing in on 40 goals. Great. But the other three guys are as important to the Predators as is Philip Forsberg. St. Louis, it gets a little easier. Jordan Binnington, their goaltender, especially in the first half of the season, he was fantastic. He had support by Robert Thomas. Jordan Kyrou could be a lot better next year. Let's see about that. I think the Blues will be in the conversation for the playoffs again next year. Let's see what happens. This year, Jordan Binnington with a fantastic season, their MVP. Yeah, and it's getting a little warm here, so I will expedite a little bit to the end. Minnesota, a team that will miss the playoffs this year. Let's see if they will have Marc-Andre Fleury next year. I really hope so, to help out Kirill Kaprizov, who is, if you see him on the ice, it's a pleasure. He is so fast, he is so good. He is clearly the Wild MVP. Let's see if he gets enough supporting cast to push for a playoff spot next year. Arizona, a team that could be a dark horse for the playoffs next year as well. All the guys getting a year older. Some more reclamation projects that could work. And their MVP, Clayton Keller. No doubt about that, in my opinion. Let me know if you think something else in the comment section below. Keller, who didn't have his best season, but when he's around, you can feel it. It's different. As well as it is for the last team, for the Chicago Blackhawks, who I think the player, if he will stay there, he will be the MVP of the Blackhawks for the rest of his career. I'm talking Connor Bedard, of course, who, spoiler alert, will be in the conversation for the Calder. If he will not win it, let's see about that. But on a Blackhawks team that is not very good, he is the bright spot and the best player that the Blackhawks will have for quite some time. Alright, that's it for this one. Let me know in the comment section below who is your favorite team and who do you think is the MVP of your favorite team. Or let me know all 32 if you want. I'm open for any conversation. Next video in this series should take about 6 days. Then we will talk about the trophies, who will win the Real Hart, who will win the Vezina, the Norris, and so on. All the trophies, I will go through them, in my opinion, in the next hockey related video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And see you soon back here for another hockey talk on the channel. Until then, have a good time. Goodbye.